Welcome to Breaking the Cycle of Poverty, featuring Jay Height, Executive Director of Shepherd Community Center in Indianapolis. My name is Tim Swearens, and I'm your host for these conversations that explore why poverty remains such a persistent problem in the United States. On this episode, we'll discuss the power of positive experiences and why it's important and healthy for families to share memorable experiences together. Jay, my wife and I are empty nesters, but one of the things we enjoy is getting away with one or more of our adult children and these days grandchildren, thankfully, to spend time together and to have fun together. But sadly, many of our neighbors just don't have the means to do that kind of thing. The pressures of earning enough to make it from one month to the next are just too great. How can organizations like Shepherd help families spend more time together and create positive experiences?
Yeah, I'm going to go way back into my youth. It was in 1974, March, before many folks were born that are probably listening to this. And my grandparents took my middle brother and myself, I'm the youngest, to Florida, and we went to Disney World. Mm-hmm. And if you've been to Disney World, you walk in and then you go around this, and when you come around there, all of a sudden you see the castle. And it's amazing. It's the castle. Well, 18 years ago, somebody made it possible for my wife and I to take our 3 kids to Disney World. And I'm holding my youngest daughter's hand when we make that turn and I see the castle. And in that moment, I felt my grandmother's hand because it was an experience. I was talking to Phil Lengel. He has since passed away, great guy, had been at that time the vice president of Disney there at Disney World, and he ends up coming up here to work at the track before he retired. But Phil would say, Jay, he said the modern church has lost it. He said Disney is more like the old tabernacle, the old temple, than you. He said God has given us multiple senses. And he said if you want an experience, connect to all the senses, not just one. And so if you've been to Disney, you smell the popcorn. But that's not popcorn. That's a machine giving out the smell. Mm-hmm. You see the icon. You hear the laughter. And so your whole body is being engaged in this experience. And we think of the Old Testament. It was you saw icons. Mm-hmm. You heard the music. You smelled the incense. You taste the food, and so it is for us to create experiences because experiences create memories. This past Christmas, I challenged our team, and they did an amazing job at our Christmas festival. Over 600 and some folks came, and oh my word. So as you came in, you entered off to the side of our main entrance where our outdoor classroom is, and we had snow machines there. And so you're walking through these snow showers, and then you walk in, and there's live Christmas trees there, and you can get one and say, set those one aside for me. Mm-hmm. Then you went to a live nativity as you're walking through, and then you come out in our playground, and you're there with a live reindeer. You got to pet the reindeer, and then you came in, and you went to the room where you could have a snowball fight. We bought all these snowballs, and it was insanity at its best. And then you could smell the cookies or the hot chocolate stand. And then you got to experience making an ornament or decorating your cookies or seeing the puppet show over here or seeing CareSource's bear that everyone loved, I think more than Santa. And then you came out and you could eat. We had from a great restaurant, a Mexican restaurant here in the neighborhood, we had all these desserts and we had breadsticks. And then you went outside and we had rented an ice skating rink. And it's silicone and they put this glycerin on it and kids are out there and they got these little things that help them if they don't know how to skate. And folks came and they stayed. And I think that's something they'll remember for a long time.
Yes.
Tragically, for many, what they remember are sad memories, and we want to help create those experiences. And so we're already looking to what we can do at Easter and start doing some type of gathering. We're working to do something late April, early May around the racetrack and create an experience here. Maybe it's the Indy 5 where we have kids racing each other with big wheels, or all of the fun things. It's those memories that create a building block that says, I feel connected. The epidemic is loneliness, and we want to create experiences where people feel like they matter and where they feel connected.
We have some great cultural venues in the city, like the zoo or the Children's Museum, but those types of experiences are out of reach for many of our neighbors. How can we open the door to those types of experiences for more families in our community?
Yeah, well, I'm going to tell you, thank you to One America, who makes it possible for us each summer to take our kids to the zoo. And one young man and his wife, and they now have a young boy, who grew up in this neighborhood going to the summer programs at Shepherd Community, is now IMPD police officer, and we're so proud of him. But he came to me a few years ago and he said, I've been saving up some money, and he said, I always, when I went to the zoo, wanted to eat lunch at the zoo, but we never had the money. And so he and his wife have donated so that our kids, thanks to One America, they're going to the zoo, having that experience,
Yes.
and they get to eat.
Yeah.
And so maybe you're just like that officer and his wife that say, I want to make something possible.
Mm-hmm.
There's people who have let us take our middle schoolers every summer. They go to a horse farm every week, and they learn how to take care of horses, and they get to ride horses. Again, an experience that is unique, and thankfully they don't let me come. If I rode the horse, I would turn them into swaybacks. And but these kids love this experience. It's why we take them to colleges. It's sometimes people will have us over that have something unique that the kids could get to do that they otherwise wouldn't get to do.
Yeah, I've talked to teenagers in the past who rarely, if ever, left their neighborhood. Right? They went to school, they stayed at home, hung out with their friends around the neighborhood, but just the idea of even going downtown seemed like a huge adventure for them. Help our listeners understand what that's like for kids growing up, where their range of experiences are pretty limited.
Yeah, many of our kids will get into high school before they've ever left the neighborhood. One of the reasons why each summer we try to take our high schoolers on a bus trip somewhere is because we want them to have that experience. This year we're taking them to Cincinnati, and they'll do different things there. I remember one year, thankfully I've graduated from this. I no longer chaperone that trip, but we went to Gettysburg. Mm-hmm. And we went to, and if anyone has gone to Gettysburg and is a little bit of a Civil War nerd like myself, there's a buffet there called General Pickett's Buffet. And it's just Golden Corral with a different name. And this young man had never been to a buffet. And so I'm explaining it to him, and I'm telling him, okay, every time you go through, you got to get a new plate, and you can take whatever you want, but you eat it. And about the fifth plate, this young kid, who was hollow, I believe, he said, this is great. I've never had access to so much food. And they get to see the rest of the world. They get to experience things like a buffet.
Yeah. It's been awfully cold here in recent days, but I trust that summer is coming eventually. And summer camps can be a fantastic experience for kids. What does the camp experience at Shepherd look like, and how can volunteers get involved?
Yes, the summer camp is a great time because for middle school, high schoolers, we're trying to move them around, get them out and about so that they can experience jobs, so they can begin to expand their thinking towards what they might want to do in the future, getting them to colleges, those types of things. As I mentioned, taking them to horseback riding. Our kids, not all of the city pools are open, so it's very difficult to get our kids access to pools. but we want them to have access to water, and so and have that joy. Many inner city kids don't know how to swim because they don't have that opportunity, and so maybe someone says, hey, there's something I could do that can help make that possible. It's really limitless to what people think their passion is and how that can relate to our kids, and getting them the experience to see the world and the complexity of the world and how big the world is, and to see that there are people who they don't know who care about them is a very powerful affirmation when the deceiver is very busy telling them that they don't matter, but they hear and feel the affirmation of folks through a connection, and Shepherd is just that connection, that bridge between people loving them and our students.
You mentioned the generosity of One America, enabling kids to go to the zoo. This seems like an area where a lot of other community partners could make a real difference. How can businesses, churches, other organizations get involved with working with Shepherd to provide these positive experiences?
Yeah, One America is a good example. They also help us go to the Children's Museum. CareSource helped us get resources to young mothers and things like onesies and those types of items. Maybe it's some business that says, I want to make it possible for your kids to go to the Indians game, or things like that. There are limitless possibilities, but part of the big thing that we're thinking about already is it's back to school time. Earlier every summer now, and kids will be back in by the 1st of August, and we want to help them go back with new shoes, clothes, as well as the school supplies. And maybe there are folks here that would say, you know what, I'm going to help them do that. But even what we do, and this is an important differentiator, in our food pantry, you get to select what you want. Tim, you would not want me to go grocery shopping for you because you probably don't want to live on soft pretzels and Lucky Charms and Diet Mountain Dew. That to me would be heaven, but
probably not for me.
Yeah. You want to choose what you like.
Yes.
I have no desire to have cooked carrots. I love carrots. I hate cooked carrots. I don't want a can of cooked carrots. We want to give people choice, so allowing even our students to be able to feel empowered and select the things and not just have everything given to them is important. Maybe it's a business come alongside. We're going to help sponsor a group of the kids to be able to go to XYZ store to pick out what pants they want for school or their shirts or whatever. I think that's it. And, the other thing is that we're trying to bring more and more mental health services to our children and teens because of just the challenges that are there. It also may be that folks want to help our students who are going off to college. We had a person who donated a car that went to one of our college students who drives to and from school and to his job, and huge practical way to help them. There are countless ways that folks can help, and we would love to share them. It's really about investing in someone's life. Every kid's going to be mentored. Every kid is going to be invested in the questions by who.
Yes. Thank you, Jay. For 39 years, Shepherd Community has made a lasting difference in the lives of thousands and thousands of neighbors. The Shepherd team couldn't do that work without the support of donors, partners, and volunteers. To learn more about how you can help, please visit shepherdcommunity.org. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, Tim.